There's nothing worse than a frozen handshake when one player slept with the other's partner and they're still forced to face each other on live TV.
It was the hardest period for us because it felt like the world was against us.
In football, sleeping with a teammate's partner has led to million-dollar divorce settlements and wild on-field moments.
No handshake or even a glance between John Terry and Wayne Bridge,
where players could barely stand next to each other. In one heartbreaking case, it ended with someone taking their own life. Mauro Icardi. Mauro Icardi started sleeping with his teammate's wife, married her, and became stepfather to his teammate's kids. This all began when Icardi was still a young player at Sampdoria. Back then, Maxi Lopez was the established star at the club, and Icardi was the new kid trying to find his footing. Lopez took him under his wing, helped him settle in, invited him into his home, and treated him like a little brother. Icardi spent time around Lopez's family, including his wife, Wanda Nara. At the same time, Lopez's marriage to Wanda was already struggling. That's when Icardi crossed the line. Behind Lopez's back, Icardi began a secret relationship with Wanda. When Lopez and Wanda officially separated, Icardi wasted no time making things public. Within months, he was openly dating his former teammate's ex-wife. Soon after, he married her. But it didn't stop there. By marrying Wanda, Icardi also stepped into the role of stepfather to Lopez's children. Imagine losing your wife to your teammate, then watching him raise your kids. That's exactly what happened. The fallout was brutal. Lopez completely cut Icardi out of his life, and their feud became famous across football. Before one match, Lopez famously refused to shake Icardi's hand during the pre-game lineup, a moment that went viral worldwide. Fans were shocked, players picked sides. Icardi instantly earned a reputation as one of football's most ruthless figures off the pitch. Icardi and Wanda went on to have children together, but their relationship turned into years of chaos. At one point, Wanda accused Icardi of being unfaithful, while Icardi claimed she was manipulating his career. Eventually, they separated. Today, Icardi has moved on romantically, while Wanda has publicly distanced herself from him. Lopez lives quietly away from the drama, focusing on his own family. Next up, we have a lower league scandal so tragic it ended with a teammate taking his own life. Paul Terry. Paul Terry slept with his teammate's fiancée, and the fallout ended in one of the darkest stories English football has ever seen. This happened in 2010, while Terry was playing for Rushden and Diamonds. His teammate, Dale Roberts, was the club's goalkeeper and was engaged to Lindsay Cowan. By most accounts, Roberts was quiet, well-liked, and deeply committed to his relationship. Behind the scenes, Paul Terry began a secret affair with Lindsay. When Roberts found out, it shattered him. Friends later said he was devastated by the betrayal, not just from his partner, but from someone he trained and played alongside every week. The dressing room atmosphere reportedly collapsed. Just days after learning about the affair, Dale Roberts was found dead at his home. He had taken his own life. He was 24 years old. The news rocked English football. People close to him later said he just couldn't handle the embarrassment anymore. The rumors about his fiancée and teammate spread fast, and suddenly, something deeply personal became club gossip. He already had long-term mental health struggles, and this only piled on. Friends noticed he pulled away, stopped talking and barely slept. Even showing up to training became hard. Imagine walking into the locker room knowing everyone knows. That kind of pressure eats at you. When you combine all of that with years of emotional stress, it just became too much for him to carry. Tributes poured in from clubs across the country. Rushden postponed matches. Teammates described Roberts as kind, gentle, and completely blindsided by what had happened. His death sparked widespread conversations about mental health in football, particularly among lower league players who don't have the same support systems as top-flight stars. Paul Terry was immediately released by the club. He issued a public apology, saying he was deeply ashamed and devastated by Roberts' death, but for many, the damage was irreversible. Terry's professional career effectively ended on the spot. He disappeared from professional football entirely. Roberts' fiancée, Lindsay, also vanished from public view, while Roberts' family and friends were left grieving a loss that never should have happened. Next up, we have a betrayal that turned two rising stars into lifelong enemies. Thibaut Courtois. Thibaut Courtois slept with his teammate's girlfriend while they were both trying to break into elite football. This happened early in Courtois' career, back when he and Kevin De Bruyne were both signed to Chelsea and coming up through Belgium's national team setup. They were young, ambitious, and expected to grow together as the future of Belgian football. At the time, De Bruyne was dating Caroline Lijnen. Their relationship wasn't perfect, but they were still together when Caroline asked for some space and went on a trip to Spain. That's when Courtois stepped in. While De Bruyne thought they were simply on a break, Caroline ended up staying with Courtois and sleeping with him. The situation didn't stay private for long. Caroline later admitted what happened in interviews, saying Courtois had treated her better in one night than De Bruyne had during their entire relationship. De Bruyne found out, and it crushed him. He later confirmed the story publicly, explaining that Courtois had betrayed him while pretending to be his friend and teammate. From that point on, the two barely spoke. The tension carried straight into Belgium's national team camp, where things reportedly became so awkward that coaches had to step in to keep it from affecting performances. Imagine lining up next to the guy who slept with your girlfriend. That was De Bruyne's reality. Courtois brushed off the backlash and continued building his career, eventually becoming Real Madrid's starting goalkeeper and winning Champions League titles. De Bruyne rebuilt his personal life too, later marrying Michelle Lacroix and starting a family, but the damage was permanent. Even years later, fans still bring up the betrayal whenever the two share a pitch. De Bruyne has admitted it deeply affected him, while Courtois has largely avoided addressing it publicly. Today, Courtois is married and has children of his own, living a settled family life in Spain. De Bruyne is also married with kids and focused on his career. Next up, we have an England captain whose alleged affair cost him the armband and ended a friendship on live television. John Terry. John Terry was accused of sleeping with his teammate's partner, triggering one of the biggest scandals in English football. In 2010, Terry wasn't just another defender. He was Chelsea captain, England captain, and one of the most respected leaders in the Premier League.
And then the shot off the bar, and then Terry!
At the same time, his England teammate Wayne Bridge was going through relationship problems with his partner, Vanessa Peroncel. Then, the allegations dropped. British tabloids reported that Terry had been secretly involved with Peroncel while Bridge was still closely connected to her. Terry denied the affair, but the story exploded anyway. Headlines dominated sports media for weeks, and the timing couldn't have been worse. England were heading toward the 2010 World Cup. The fallout was immediate. England manager Fabio Capello stripped Terry of the captaincy, saying the distraction was too big. That alone was a massive fall from grace. But the real moment came when Chelsea faced Manchester City. During the pre-match handshake line, Wayne Bridge refused to shake Terry's hand. He didn't look at him or acknowledge him. Bridge later withdrew from the England squad, saying he didn't want the situation to become a circus. Whether the affair was proven or not, the damage was permanent. The friendship was over. Terry's wife chose to stand by him, and they remain together today with their children. He continued playing for Chelsea, winning trophies and finishing his career as one of the club's most decorated captains. Bridge, on the other hand, drifted away from the spotlight and eventually retired quietly. To this day, opinions remain divided on what really happened, but proven or not, the scandal cost Terry his England captaincy and permanently changed how many fans viewed him. Next up, we have a Champions League winning midfielder whose alleged affair blew up his teammate's marriage. Michael Ballack. Michael Ballack was accused of having a relationship with his teammate's wife, turning a private locker room situation into a silent fallout that never fully went public. This allegedly happened during Ballack's time at Chelsea, when he was one of the club's senior leaders and a key figure in their midfield. At the same club was young defender Christian Lell, who was married to Daniela Aumann. According to reports circulating in German media at the time, Ballack and Daniela began seeing each other while both men were still teammates. No dramatic press conference or Instagram apology, just quiet whispers that eventually reached Lell. And that was enough. Lell's marriage collapsed soon after, and his Chelsea career never really recovered. While Ballack continued starting big matches and lifting trophies, Lell slowly faded out of top-level football, eventually leaving Chelsea and drifting into smaller clubs. Neither Ballack nor Daniela ever publicly confirmed the relationship, but insiders claimed the tension inside the squad was real. Lell reportedly felt betrayed, not just by his wife, but by a senior teammate he was supposed to trust. Ballack, meanwhile, carried on like nothing happened. He remained a core part of Chelsea's squad, played in major finals, and later returned to Germany before retiring. The story never exploded the way other scandals did, largely because Ballack avoided public comment and the media didn't push hard. After retiring, Ballack became a television pundit and kept a relatively low-profile personal life. Lel eventually left professional football altogether and moved on quietly, far away from elite leagues. Today, Ballack stays active in media and football analysis, while Lel lives privately, rarely speaking about his playing days. Next up, we have a World Cup winner whose alleged locker room hookup destroyed another teammate's relationship. Mesut Ozil. Mesut Ozil was accused of sleeping with his teammate's girlfriend, turning a private squad situation into another uncomfortable betrayal story. This allegedly happened during Ozil's early years in Germany's national team setup. Around the same period, he was rising fast at club level and becoming one of Europe's most exciting young midfielders. At the time, Ozil was teammates with Christian Lel, who was in a relationship with Melanie Rickinger. According to reports that circulated in German tabloids, Ozil and Melanie began seeing each other while Lel still believed they were together, and just like that, another teammate found out the hard way. There were no leaked photos or public confrontations, but insiders claimed Lel felt blindsided by both his girlfriend and a teammate he trusted. The relationship ended shortly after, and whatever friendship existed between Ozil and Lel was done. What made it sting even more was timing. Ozil's career was taking off. He was becoming a central figure for Germany, soon earning a move to Real Madrid and later Arsenal. His reputation on the pitch only grew, while Lel's career slowly drifted away from the spotlight. Professionally, Ozil was untouched by the allegations. He kept starting matches, collecting assists, and building his reputation as one of football's most creative playmakers. Lel, meanwhile, quietly exited elite football not long after, eventually stepping away from the game altogether. Years later, Ozil settled down. In 2019, he married Amine Gülşah, a former Miss Turkey, in a massive ceremony attended by football stars and political figures. The couple now have children together and live a much more private family life. Lel has stayed completely out of football headlines, rarely speaking publicly about his career or personal life. Next up, we have a Manchester icon who didn't sleep with a player's wife, but his own assistant. David Beckham. David Beckham was accused of having an affair with his personal assistant, turning his marriage into front-page news worldwide. In 2004, Beckham was playing for Real Madrid and was already one of the most famous athletes on earth. His marriage to Victoria Beckham was a global brand in itself. Then Rebecca Luce, his former assistant, publicly claimed she had an affair with him while working in Spain. The allegations exploded across British tabloids and international media. Luce gave interviews describing the relationship in detail. Beckham denied everything, calling the claims ridiculous and untrue. Despite the denial, the damage was done. Victoria stood by him publicly, and the couple stayed together, but the scrutiny was intense. Paparazzi followed them constantly, and every appearance was analysed. Rebecca Luce didn't just hint at it. She went on 60 Minutes and laid everything out. She described meeting David Beckham while working as his assistant in Madrid, claiming the affair started when Victoria was out of town. She said Beckham pursued her, sent flirtatious texts, and made her feel special before suddenly distancing himself. The Beckham's Netflix documentary revisited the affair allegations, showing how the scandal nearly broke their marriage.
It was the hardest period for us because it felt like the world was against us.
Over time, the storm passed. Beckham continued his career in Madrid, later moved to LA Galaxy, and eventually built a business empire after retirement. Today, David and Victoria Beckham are still married with 4 children. Their marriage has outlasted one of the biggest cheating scandals football has ever seen. Next up, we have a French midfielder whose locker room betrayal shook one of football's most legendary families. Jean-François Larios. Jean-François Larios was accused of having an affair with his teammate's wife, blowing apart trust inside the French national team. This happened in the early 1980s, when Larios was part of France's golden generation, playing alongside some of the country's biggest stars. One of those stars was Michel Platini, the captain of the national team, and already on his way to becoming a global icon. According to reports that later surfaced, Larios became involved with Platini's wife, Christelle, while both men were still teammates. And once Platini found out, everything changed. Unlike some of the other scandals on this video, this one didn't play out through tabloids or leaked photos. It exploded inside the dressing room. Platini confronted Larios directly, and the fallout was immediate. Larios was effectively frozen out of the squad and never played for France again. Just like that, his international career was over. Larios later admitted to the affair himself, confirming that he had crossed the line and betrayed his teammate. He has spoken openly in interviews about how the mistake destroyed his place in the national team and permanently altered his career path. Platini, meanwhile, moved on without him. France went on to achieve historic success, winning Euro 1984 with Platini as captain, while Larios was left watching from the outside. His club career continued, but he never recovered the same status or opportunities he once had. Platini stayed married for years afterward and went on to become one of football's most powerful administrators, eventually serving as UEFA president. Larios faded from the spotlight, becoming one of those players remembered less for trophies and more for a single devastating decision. Today, Platini's legacy is tied to his brilliance on the pitch and his later political career in football. Larios lives quietly, occasionally reflecting on the affair as the moment everything unraveled. Next up, we have a Manchester United legend whose secret affair wasn't with a player's wife, but someone much worse. Ryan Giggs. Ryan Giggs carried on a secret relationship with his brother's wife for years while publicly presenting himself as football's ultimate family man. For over 2 decades, Giggs was seen as the model professional, one club, endless trophies. He was married, had children, and built a reputation as the embodiment of loyalty at Manchester United. His image was spotless. Then in 2011, everything collapsed. It was revealed that Giggs had been having an affair with his brother, Rodri Giggs' wife, Natasha Lever, for nearly 8 years. 8 years of secret meetings, lies, and double lives. His brother didn't even find out directly from his family. He learned through the media. Let that sink in. The betrayal hit hard and fast. Giggs issued a short apology, admitting he'd behaved badly and asking for privacy. His marriage ended soon after. His relationship with his brother was effectively destroyed overnight, with Rodri later saying the emotional damage took years to process. Professionally, Giggs kept moving. He finished his playing career at Manchester United, briefly became interim manager, and later took over as Wales national team boss. But the scandal followed him everywhere, permanently changing how fans viewed his legacy. The quiet hero image was gone. Rodri, meanwhile, stepped away from football entirely and spoke openly about the impact of losing both his wife and his brother at the same time. He later appeared in interviews discussing the betrayal, describing it as one of the darkest periods of his life. Giggs has since kept his personal life mostly private. He's no longer married and rarely speaks publicly about the affair. Rodri has rebuilt his life away from the spotlight. Next up, we have a US national team captain whose secret affair blew up an entire locker room and cost him his place with his country. John Harkes. John Harkes slept with his teammate's wife, and the fallout was so bad it got him kicked out of the US national team. This went down in the late 1990s when Harkes was one of the biggest names in American soccer. He had captained the US men's national team, played in multiple World Cups, and was considered a leader in the squad. At the same time, he was teammates with striker Eric Wijnaldum. Behind the scenes, Harkes allegedly began a relationship with Wijnaldum's wife, Amy Ward, and once the truth came out, everything exploded. The affair caused massive tension inside the national team camp. According to multiple reports, head coach Steve Sampson decided the situation was poisoning the squad and made a brutal call. Harkes was dropped from the national team just before the 1998 World Cup. For a player who had been captain and cornerstone of the team, it was a stunning fall. Harkes never played another World Cup match for the United States. Wijnaldum later confirmed the affair publicly, explaining that the betrayal went far beyond football and shattered friendships that had been built over years. The locker room was reportedly split, and the emotional damage lingered long after Harkes was gone. Harkes tried to move on with his club career, continuing to play professionally in MLS, but his international reputation never recovered. He eventually transitioned into coaching and youth development, keeping a much lower profile than during his playing days. Wijnaldum also stepped away from the national team not long after, later becoming a coach and media figure. Today, Harkes is married and focused on coaching, while Wijnaldum has built a life in broadcasting and management. Neither man has ever fully reconciled publicly. Next up, we have a national team betrayal that quietly destroyed friendships behind closed doors in African football. Jordan Ayew. Jordan Ayew was accused of sleeping with his national team teammate's wife, turning a private relationship into a silent fallout inside Ghana's squad. This allegedly happened while Ayew was part of Ghana's senior national team, playing alongside midfielder Afriye Akwa. At the time, both players were regularly called up for international duty and expected to grow together as part of Ghana's future. Akwa was married to Amanda Akwa, and by all appearances, things were stable. Then reports surfaced claiming Jordan Ayew had been involved with Amanda behind Akwa's back. Unlike many scandals on this list, this one didn't explode across tabloids or turn into viral videos. There were no leaked photos, no press conferences, no dramatic confrontations caught on camera. Instead, the story circulated quietly through Ghanaian media and football circles, with insiders saying the betrayal caused serious tension inside the national team setup. Once Akwa found out, the relationship between the two players was effectively finished. Sources close to the squad claimed communication stopped completely, and the atmosphere became awkward whenever both men were present in camp. Coaches reportedly had to manage the situation carefully to stop it from affecting team performances. Ayew never publicly addressed the allegations. Akwa stayed silent too, but the damage was done. Professionally, Ayew continued his career in Europe, playing in the Premier League and remaining part of Ghana's national plans. Akwa's international involvement gradually faded, and his club career never reached the same level of visibility afterward. On the personal side, Akwa's marriage reportedly collapsed following the affair allegations. Amanda disappeared from public view, while Akwa stepped away from the spotlight. Ayew later settled into a quieter personal life and now has children of his own, keeping relationships largely private. Akwa also moved on, focusing on football away from international attention. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section, and before you leave, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Goal Rivals so you don't miss the next ones.